Sorry for the delay. There were some technical difficulties, but episode 123 is here. This was recorded pre-Super Bowl, and on this episode, the fellas discuss their Super Bowl picks. They also talk about the LA Lakers, and they discuss the trade between James Harden and Ben Simmons. Will James Harden survive in Philly? Let's see what the fellas think.
No. The Bucks are legit. I was trying to do it before the start of the show, but I was unable to get that number. The only thing that I think the Sixers have to worry about is there are a ton of strip clubs in Philadelphia, and we know.
You're tuned into the New Channel Sports Podcast, the ultimate sports talk podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the New Channel Sports Podcast. My name is Onye, the one and only. I'm going to be one of your hosts this morning, this evening, this afternoon, whatever time of day that is you're listening. And I am joined by my other two co-hosts. I am joined by the phenomenal one, Chris. How are we doing today, sir?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm happy to be here. Let's get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we have a legend in the building today. My man, Trey, the man we all love to hate. It is good to see you back on this podcast, sir. And I would not expect anything different than you having some kind of cowboy finalia over there doing something. But it's good to have you back, Mr. Trey. Oh my gosh.
Oh, man, thank you very much, fellas. It's good to be back in the saddle again. You know, it wouldn't be me if I didn't give a shout out to Cowboy Nation, Laker Nation, you know, them world champion Atlanta Braves. You know, I've been waiting a long time to say that. I've been waiting a long time to say that. Them Duke Blue Devils national champions coming up. You know what I'm saying? It's good, man. I'm happy to be back.
It is good to have you, sir. Welcome back to the New Channel Sports Podcast. One of the originals, the usual suspects are here. Big Low is out today, but he will be back repping H-Town. Ladies, have no fear. His deep voice will be back sometime so you can listen to him. But let's get right into it. Let's get into some headlines.
It's time for headlines.
All right, so the NBA trade deadline has passed. A bunch of trades have gone down. The big one, James Harden is going to the Philadelphia 76ers in exchange for Ben Simmons. Let's just have a little short synopsis on that because we're going to talk about that more in detail. But let's talk about that a little bit and get into more headlines. A whole bunch of other trades that went down. Kristaps Porzingis is leaving Dallas. CJ McCollum has left the Portland Trailblazers. What do you guys think about the trades that have gone down so far in the NBA?
First of all, I cannot believe you called that man James Harden. You know his name is Jimmy.
Oh, here we go.
And that's just the way that it is. Jimmy done finessed the Nets. And I can't wait till we talk more about that. But it's what we expect with the NBA, you know, trade deadline. And this year, I expected a little bit more, but I think some teams finessed these other teams and got made out big time.
Yeah, I'm with Trey on this one, and I think some teams are big winners, and there are some very big losers at this trade deadline. So I'm gonna leave it at that. There are some very, very big winners, and some teams are really looking foolish.
Any of you surprised that Russell Westbrook?
How you get traded by your father-in-law?
Say it again.
I said, how you get traded by your father-in-law?
It just happens, bro.
It's a business.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what's so crazy, though? They got so much family around the league at this point, though. I mean, it could happen any day. But he has to feel... I think, is this now for Doc at this point? Is he coaching any family members? Because he's been coaching family members for years now. He might be happy with that. Like, bro, I'm tired of that.
Probably. Yeah. He could sneak out on the road.
Any of y'all surprised that Russell?
I'm sorry, man. I'm just happy to be back.
No problem. Any of y'all surprised that Russell Westbrook was not dealt?
No. Why would you be surprised? The contract is an albatross. And it's not a diss to him, but I mean, you can't trade him for anything. The only trade that was possible was him potentially, really two trades, I think. One with the Knicks for Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier and Alec Burks, or to the Rockets for John Wall, and then you got to give up a first-round pick. I don't know where Trey falls on this, but Laker Nation was really not wanting to give up a first-round pick in 2027, which really, in my opinion, means absolutely nothing right now. I don't know why they didn't want to give up the pick and tie that to Russell Westbrook if it meant them getting a player that can impact them this year, because last time I checked, LeBron's 38. So your time to win is now. So I'm really interested to hear what Trey thinks about that, because I would have given up the pick.
First of all, you said the key point in that statement was 2027, because we don't have much before then. We didn't gave it all away. And when LeBron walks away, there's not much left. AD, every time he falls down, I think he's out for the season. I don't care if he just trips. He might be out for the season. Russell Westbrook, I don't think that he's a bad fit. They haven't played a ton of games together, but it's just not working. But, I mean, our problems are a lot deeper than Russell Westbrook right now. And it starts with Frank Vogel.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought, Trey, because we're going to talk a lot more about the Lakers in another segment. Let's continue on with headlines.
I'm sure you are.
Let's continue on with headlines. Alvin Kamara finds himself in some trouble during the Pro Bowl weekend. Him and three others attacked a gentleman in Vegas. If you've seen the pictures, he looks pretty bad and pretty bruised up. But I guess it got into some kind of altercation. They thought that he was trying to run away from it. And Kamara and three other gentlemen attacked him in a Vegas club during the Pro Bowl weekend. What do you guys think about that?
The NFL's back at it again, man. This guy, they knew he did something wrong, and somehow he was still able to play in the Pro Bowl, which I don't know how that was even possible. And I got to say this. I know it's headlines. I'll keep it short, but the NFL, we got to ask some questions. You said this happened in Vegas, right? This is the problem. I don't know if y'all been following, but we've seen so many incidents with players in Vegas, and you have that team, the Vegas Raiders there. I don't know what make people think is a good idea. You have young, rich men in Vegas. What do you think is going to happen? And it's like the NFL, I don't want to go too far in this, but it's like the NFL doesn't even care. It's like, yeah, we'll stick a team in Vegas and have 21-year-olds go to Vegas. It's a horrible idea. And we're seeing the results of that. How many players from the Raiders have we seen in trouble? I know Kamara plays for the Saints. I'm saying, how many players have we seen in trouble? It's not going to stop. They're young. They got money. They're in Vegas. That equals problems.
What if I told you the NFL purposely didn't put those players in Vegas and they stayed in Henderson, Nevada? That's where they were supposed to stay. Some of those players took it upon themselves.
What do you think gonna happen?
Right. Who took it upon themselves not to stay where they were supposed to stay, and obviously ventured downtown, and then that happened. But you got millionaires out there, walking around with wannabe millionaires, and that's going to happen. In Vegas, alcohol clubs, it's going to happen.
Well said, gentlemen. And the last bit of information I want to pass along in headlines: the Houston Texans hire Lovie Smith as their new head coach. Just had to get that out there. I like Lovie. Okay, I think that he should have had a head coaching job a long time ago. And me personally, I think this is just a consolation. The Texans didn't get the man they really wanted because of what happened with Brian Flores. So they just decided, you know what, Lovie, just take the reign for a year or two, and then we're going to give it to the guy that really want to give it to. Okay, no comments there. All right, let's go right into the show. All right, so that was headlines, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into the show. Let's talk about the trade. The Nets and the 76ers swap. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to be getting James Harden, and the forgot the name of it. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be getting Ben Simmons. What are you guys' comments on that?
Let me start off on this, Trey, if you don't mind, sir.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna leave the James Harden talk to Trey on this. I'm gonna leave this to you. I want to talk about it from the Brooklyn Nets perspective. Obviously, it was a failed experiment with those three guys. That's obvious. And obviously, if Kevin Durant could do it over again, I don't think he's calling James Harden. But I think what's the strangest thing is this is the worst big three, maybe in NBA history. You got to think back to maybe when Kobe did it with Nash and Dwight Howard, but that was never a big three. This was an actual big three, and they spent the better part of close to 2 seasons together, at least a season and a half. And they played a total of 16 games together. 16! And I still believe the Nets won this trade because they got a guy in Ben Simmons who really gels and meshes well with that roster. I will tell you the only thing that annoys me throughout this entire process, and I'm sorry to take it here, but I got to. You look at somebody like Ben Simmons, and his excuse was he wasn't playing because he had some mental issues or something of that nature. And all of a sudden he gets traded and it's like, well, I'm good. I got a couple games to get ready. I'm good. Let's go. And for me, it's very annoying that somebody would use such a sensitive topic to simply sit out and not play. Now it's confirmed. We already knew what he was, but as far as I'm concerned, I want nothing to do with that cat because in my opinion, what he did was whack. It was weak. And if he's playing within 5 to 6 games, it looks really, really, really bad.
I think you're spot on with all of that, but when I saw who they gave up, right, they are going to be in pretty good shape. If Kyrie can, muster up some games or get vaccinated, that's one thing. But with Kyrie and Harris and Curry, Patty Mills, they're going to be dangerous. They're going to have some shooters, which is something that they need. And if everybody else stays healthy, I thought, adding Andre Drummond, who's been playing out of his mind recently, I thought that was a good addition for the Nets. But then I thought about what this means to the Sixers. And if Jimmy can stay in shape and play like he knows how to play, the way Embiid's been playing this year, I don't know. I think Philadelphia, they automatically become very, very, very scary. I mean, to me, a very scary team. If you're able to keep the rest of the pieces around him, I don't know. Daryl Morey did his thing once again, and I think he finessed them into making the Sixers a true contender. I think people thought they may be able to compete. Now I think you got to take them serious.
Yeah, Daryl Morey definitely did his thing on that one. Daryl Morey, we know him very well down here in Houston. He had James Harden here. Now he has James Harden in Philadelphia. Which team is better now, though? Is it the Brooklyn Nets or is it the Philadelphia 76ers?
I think without a doubt it's the Philadelphia 76ers. And the only reason why is, one, Trey mentioned it, we don't know if Kyrie's going to play. That's in the baseline. So you have one of your best players, you don't know if he's going to play. You have Kevin Durant, who may be more injured than we think because he hasn't played some games in quite some time. And at this point, it's not even the question of, if Kevin Durant or Kyrie don't get hurt. At this point, I know it's not fair, but they're injury prone. It is what it is. So when they get hurt, nobody's looking around like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're hurt. They get hurt. It's what they do. And with that being the case, you got to go with the Sixers. The one pushback I have with the Sixers is I think James Harden's best running mate so far in his career has been Chris Paul. That's no offense to Kevin Durant, but Chris Paul meshes with this game the best. And I'm interested to see how him and Joel Embiid mesh because James Harden's used to big man crash into the basket, right? You set a screen, you go get the lob. That's what you do. And Joel Embiid is not going to crash to the basket. That's not what he does. He may pop out for a three. He may pop out and want the ball for himself. So I'm interested to see how teams play them defensively. If Joel Embiid's going off and Harden's going off and they mesh well together, there's no doubt they're the better team.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think it's going to be only time will tell. And I don't think any year has been maybe, the bubble year in the NBA, but I don't think there's been another year where availability has been prime. I'm talking about from the top tier teams. I mean, it's like everybody's playing and fighting through some type of injury. Everybody. And if the best ability is availability, and nobody really has that consistently. And the teams that have had it are, in my opinion, decent basketball teams, not really good teams, but they've been healthier than others. Yeah. So right now, if those teams don't get healthy quick and they find themselves on the road playing some of these teams with confidence, I don't know if we'll really be able to tell what's happening or who won this year. James Harden's already saying he's going to opt into his contract for next year because he wants that 47, 48 mil, and he wants to stay there. But I don't know if we're going to be able to tell who's a better team because I don't really see them playing together. If Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and KD come back to healthy next year, man, I don't know. Like that's gonna be hard to deal with. I'm just saying that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be really tough. That makes them a formidable big three, in my opinion.
But so to that point, do you see them being a formidable big three this season? Because I don't see it this season.
I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. I mean, honestly, and we'll probably get there, but I think what's going to make free agency, not free agency, what's going to be a bigger deal than what we just talked about is the buyout market that's getting ready to happen with some of these people that are going to they're going to opt out of their contracts. I think that's what's going to probably be something that really tells us who's the better team here or not. KD and them should be on the phone with several people right now trying to get people like John Wall and Goran Dragic and those players to play with them, because I think without having Kyrie 100%, I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, but if they are healthy, I do think that Ben Simmons will mesh quite well with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. He's the type of player that likes to dish the ball off anyway, so I see him taking the controls of being the point guard and really just trying to drive to the hole and kick it out to one of those two or anybody else that's on that team. I do think it's going to be interesting to see how James Harden messes with Doc Rivers as well. Both of those guys have kind of this monkey on their shoulder going into the playoffs. We already know what Doc Rivers has been through. He's given up 3-1 leads before in the playoffs, and his teams have squandered them. We already know what James Harden has done in the playoffs as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do in the playoffs, and if he can really mesh, with Joel Embiid. That's going to be, to me, that's going to be the most interesting one of them all, because Joel Embiid, he does have this kind of outgoing personality, and I don't know if him and James Harden are really going to mesh together like that. You already saw how Ben Simmons was kind of like trying to distance himself away from that whole thing. So that's going to be interesting. And we talked about that big three with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, and we already knew that it might not work out just because of all their personalities and everything that's going on. And then you add that other dimension with Steve Nash being the head coach there, his first tenure there, and that was kind of some of the rumblings that we heard from James Harden's camp. We didn't hear anything from James Harden. We heard everything from James Harden's camp as to why he didn't want to be there. He never came out and said, I don't want to be here, but there was always these stories coming out that he didn't want to be there. He wasn't happy there. And part of the reason he wasn't happy there was because of Steve Nash. He didn't like the rotation and just little things like that. But it kind of makes you wonder, man, can he really play and be a championship caliber type player? It just really makes you wonder.
Well, I will say this in his defense, and I think a lot of people don't mention this enough. Every single superstar he's played with, from Chris Paul to Dwight Howard to all of them, they've all failed him in the playoffs, either by failing him in the playoffs or by getting injured. Whether you're a Rockets fan or not, I think most people can at least argue if Chris Paul's there, even if you don't think the Rockets get to the finals in 2018, if Chris Paul is healthy, they have a chance to win either Game 6 or Game 7. Even the greatest Warrior fan can tell you that. So in his defense, he goes to Brooklyn and he looks around and he says, okay, Kyrie's here halftime. Kevin Durant's injured for yet another season. This is not what I signed up for. I left Houston because I didn't want to be the only star here. And essentially, I'm playing a whole bunch of games where I'm the only guy. And not just that, we have a guy in Kyrie Irving who says he's going to get vaccinated. He's not going to get vaccinated. He doesn't get vaccinated. So if you look at James Harden's numbers with Kyrie and without Kyrie, they're almost day and night. So the issue is he's really complaining about the rotation. I think a large part of it is Kyrie's not there. Kevin Durant's not there. I'm out. And that's essentially what happened.
I buy that, but Chris, I think you may have alluded to this earlier. Who has been James Harden's best teammate?
Chris Paul, by a country mile.
You think Chris Paul? How long did they play together?
They played together for 2 seasons.
I want to say it was two seasons. I mean by like production. And I know Chris Paul had a decent couple of seasons there. But I think James Harden has played better, in my opinion, over a length of time. I think what he was able to do with Clint Capella on the court, he's shined. I think Chris Paul took the ball away from him too much, and I think there was just a constant struggle between the two of them. And he did have a good season in 2018.
But when he had Clint Capella, who Joel Embiid is infinitely better than Clint Capella, and James Harden had a big man down there who he could do work with, Joel Embiid can do things that Clint Capella could only dream of. And True. I think that is going to make James, and right now, people are going to have to double Embiid. They're going to continue to do that. And Tobias Harris is still there. I think James Harden is set up to truly, truly succeed if he stays if he plays his role. Yes. If he's going 0 for 17, he needs to chill. Like, he's not that dude. They're going to be okay. And I think that's, and I'm rooting for him, believe it or not, because I like Doc. I want Doc to do well. And I hope this is Jimmy's chance to shine.
I will say this. You mentioned a player that I think, so before James Harden got there, the 76ers, at least rumors were trying to ship him out because his contract is too big. That's Tobias Harris. People are going to be singing Tobias Harris's praises now that he has James Harden.
Absolutely.
Because even in an off year from James Harden, off year meaning he's not averaging 25 plus points, he's still leading the league in assists. He's always been able to dish the basketball. My only fear with the big man is you mentioned Clint Capella. Obviously, Embiid is a better player than Capella. Duh. But the difference is Capella knows my job is to set screens and roll. Embiid ain't going to do that. And it's going to be, I think there's going to be some time where they got to mesh together because Embiid's going to be like, bruh, I'm not rolling to the basket. I'm not just going to catch lobs all day. That's not what I do. And there's a difference there because that's what James Harden really likes from his big men. And I think there's going to be some growing pains in that. And then I guess my final thought on the Sixers is, whose team is it? Embiid has established this year that it's my team. I don't know what happens when Harden gets there. I really don't know. Maybe Harden embraces that, or maybe Harden doesn't embrace that. I wonder how they interact as far as leadership is concerned. And I think Doc Rivers has a big role to play there.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. I don't look at James Harden as being the type of person that wants to be the alpha dog over there. I think he's just going to go ahead and let Joel Embiid be the alpha dog that he is and let it be his team. I do think it's going to be interesting to see how they mesh. I want to see how that pick is going to work with him and Joel Embiid, or how they're going to use that two-man game over there in Philadelphia. That's going to be very, very interesting. And we're going to find out a lot about those three individuals for sure. Those are people I'm looking at is Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Doc Rivers. Because now Doc Rivers has James Harden. He has his two MVP superstar players. Now people are going to be like, man, you've got to win a title. You know, if not this year, in the next couple of years, because you haven't won a title since Boston when you had the big three over there with Kevin Durant, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they mesh and what Philadelphia is able to do with this new lineup. And are they the best team in the East now? Philadelphia 76ers? Are you going to go that far? Are you going to dethrone the Bucks? Okay.
No way. I'm not even the Bucks. No.
The Bucks are legit. I was trying to do it before the start of the show, but I was unable to get that number. The only thing that I think the Sixers have to worry about is there are a ton of strip clubs in Philadelphia, and we know.
Are they though? Are they?
So
you say we're going to be seeing your boy Jimmy and the baby all over the strip clubs in Philadelphia, baby.
You know how Jimmy rolls. Man.
Well, very interesting trade. It actually went down. I did a poll on Instagram to say if it would go down or not. 54% of the people on the poll said it would go down, and it actually did. So there you have it. James Harden is now Philadelphia 76er, and Ben Simmons is a Brooklyn Net. We're going to see how it plays out. Next topic of discussion, we did talk about the Lakers a little bit earlier on. Let's dive into Trey's favorite basketball team of all time. LeBron is playing his butt off. He really, really is. And he's one of the only good things going with the LA Lakers right now. I do think that Russell Westbrook is getting a little bit too much unfair criticism. It's not all on him. But it is very funny to see all these little memes and stuff when LeBron is talking to Russ and LeBron is just looking kind of like off to the side. He's wondering, he said, when's the trade deadline now? When Russ is talking to him. So that kind of aspect of it is very, very funny. But what do you guys think about the dynamic there? Do they have a shot in hell of doing anything this season.
You know me.
I do.
And I will ride with them until the wheels fall off. And 3 of them fell off. We just.
You got a unicycle. You're on a unicycle right now. This is right down the street.
We tipping on both foes. Like, we are bad. We bad. We didn't swing and we're swinging. We're not banging though. Like, it is bad, man. It's I think we've got on paper, they should be one of the better teams. But someone said it best earlier. And I can't remember who I was listening to, but they were talking about LeBron. We've seen this story before. LeBron goes to a team, gets some aging superstars, wins the championships, and a season or 2 later, he's gone, or that team is in shambles again. It happened in Miami, it happened in Cleveland, and like clockwork, it's happened in Los Angeles. I do blame Anthony Davis's availability on that some, but Frank Vogel, like literally, I just stop at that. Frank Vogel, I don't understand. The Lakers have not been healthy all year. Kendrick Nunn, Stanley Johnson's been one of the best bright spots that we actually have. But everybody else, like LeBron's been hurt, Ariza's been hurt, Nunn is hurt, Davis is hurt. Everybody's gone through that. But my son and I were watching the game last night, and Wayne Ellington comes off the bench for the first time, and Lord knows when, hits a few shots. The Lakers hit like 9 or 10 3-pointers in the first half, and then none of those players are playing in the second half. And I don't know if it's just rotations, people trying to get healthy. It was the second night of a back-to-back where those people wouldn't normally play, and they, gain, some exposure or some rest. But man, I think right now it's Frank Vogel. But we did lose a key person to our coaching staff. He's now coaching in Dallas. And I don't think people give enough credit for what we were able to do with this coaching staff they have. LeBron is crying too much when he's not getting the call or the ball or someone's taking an early shot. They're struggling. If they make the playoffs, it'll be a first round exit.
They will be in the play-in right now, right? Is that what number 2?
Maybe not after yesterday, but yeah.
Wow, that would be interesting to have them in the play-in. You don't want to play the Lakers in the play-in. That's because they have LeBron James there. I'm saying they could easily get into the playoffs on that alone. They're not going to go anywhere. Don't get me wrong. After that,
did you hear what this?
Go ahead.
Did you hear what happened last night?
No, what happened?
So the Lakers played the Portland Trailblazers. They started, I don't even know the guy's first name. Ellaby, Winslow, Nurkic, some kid who just lit the Lakers up. Anthony Simmons, Ben McLemore, Keldon Blevins, Dennis Smith Jr., who else? Trendon Watford, and the last player was Greg Brown. Y'all know any of those players?
Never heard of them.
You know Nurkic.
Of them.
You know of them. Yeah, but that team played against LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Avery Bradley, Malik Monk, who's been a bright spot, Wayne Ellington, Stanley Johnson. Like, they played against a whole team, and they beat the Lakers last night.
So basically,
like, it's happening way too much.
So basically, they couldn't blame Russell Westbrook for that loss this time because he didn't even play.
He didn't play. He thought he was going to get traded, so he didn't play. I mean, they didn't play him. I think they thought they were going to trade him. But right now, man, it's hard to watch the Lakers game right now.
Yeah, the problem with the Lakers is, everybody wants to blame Russell Westbrook, but we all know who the problem is. The problem is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis just ain't that great. Can we keep it a buck on this podcast? Anthony Davis is not that great. He's good.
In the bubble, he kind of stepped with us.
Yeah, he was fantastic in the bubble, but outside of the bubble, he ain't been good. He's been. I'm being serious. He's been average. He's been an average star in the NBA, and that's what's killing the Lakers. I guarantee you, if you could go talk to LeBron, and it's hard to say what's the problem. People were like, yeah, Russ isn't playing well. Russ, we don't mesh well. But the problem is Anthony Davis, because LeBron James is 38 now. He's 38 years old. And for whatever reason, Anthony Davis is leaning on LeBron and not the other way around. I just find that to be absurd. Why is Anthony Davis not taking a shot in the fourth quarter versus the Portland Trailblazers? It's like he doesn't get it. Like, dude, you are the guy. And LeBron has given him multiple opportunities to be that guy. And I think LeBron sees it like he's not. Because Anthony Davis is not that guy, two people are getting blamed. They don't need to get blamed. Frank Vogel and Russell Westbrook. It's simple. Russell Westbrook is an easy target. And any LeBron coach that doesn't win is an easy target. But the person that needs to get all the blame here is Anthony Davis. And final thing on him, they put him in the top 75 list and I flipped out. Like y'all remember that podcast? I was hot because he does not deserve to be on that list over Dwight Howard, and he has really proven it this season because he is not the man. How can you not be the man with LeBron by your side? Everybody's the man with LeBron, and somehow Anthony Davis is not. My blame meter is Russell Westbrook 3%, Frank Vogel 3%, 94% is on Anthony Davis. Play better, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he needs to play better. When you think about of all LeBron James's teammates, you have his best teammates being Kyrie Irving and, of course, Dwayne Wade. I think around that point, we thought after they won a championship, Anthony Davis had the potential to be his number one or his best teammate, but he's just not showing up. He doesn't have that DNA. He really doesn't. I don't know what happened in the bubble or where it went away, but he needs to find a way to bring that back because without that, they really don't have a hope to do anything, and not just for now, but for the future as well, because they kind of put their stock in Anthony Davis being the future of that team also.
Yeah, it's funny that we talk about that. This guy's averaging basically 24-10 and on the season, but he hasn't played as many minutes or took nearly enough shots. Shooting 54% from the field, 71% from the free throw line, which isn't terrible. Averaging 2.3 blocks a game. So he's having statistically a good season, but that's not what the Lakers need. The Lakers need more from Anthony Davis. And it starts on the defensive end. It starts with his leadership. It starts with him bringing some energy to that team, and he's just not doing that right now.
He's not. All right. Enough talk about the Lakers. Let's transition from the NBA to the NFL. Not just the NFL, but the biggest game of the season, the Super Bowl. We have the Los Angeles Rams going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, folks. The Cincinnati Bengals. How many of you had the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl? If you chose any AFC North team to go to the Super Bowl, it was probably the Cleveland Browns who you had. And the Cleveland Browns didn't even show up. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. No, I'm just saying, if you had any of them, you had the Cleveland Browns or the Baltimore Ravens.
I did not have the Browns doing anything.
I'm just saying some people. They thought the Cleveland Browns were the team that was on the uprise that was going to go to the Super Bowl before the Cincinnati Bengals did. But anyway, you have Joe Burrow in his first Super Bowl appearance, his second year in the league, and you have Matthew Stafford in his first Super Bowl appearance with the Los Angeles Rams. He did exactly what he was supposed to do and taken over for, I can't remember his name now, the Jared Goff. Yes. So what are you guys' prediction on this game, and what do you think is going to happen?
Let me start this one off. If you would have told me in the year of our Lord 1995, after the Cowboys won their last championship, you would tell me, you say, Chris, before the Cowboys get to the Super Bowl, the Cincinnati Bengals would get to the Super Bowl, I would say you're lying. And what we have seen from Joe Burrow is historic. It's amazing. It's all of those things. There's just so many. I'll put it like this. Coming into the season, you mentioned it. No one had the Bengals in the Super Bowl. But the crazy thing is, the Bengals didn't have the Bengals in the Super Bowl. If you would have told them now, like, hey, y'all going to be in the Super Bowl, they're like, so who do we trade for? What happened? Was there like a league stoppage and a whole bunch of teams couldn't play? And what they've done is amazing. And are we doing picks?
Of course.
Okay, so what the Bengals have done is amazing. I love their defense. I believe it's underrated and what they're able to do. Well, how they're able to stop Patrick Mahomes, rushing three, dropping everybody else back into coverage, passing Tyreek Hill, passing Travis Kelce along as they were running their routes up the field. They did a phenomenal job. Joe Burrow's Joe Cool. Everybody calls him Joe Namath. I don't think it's more like Tom Brady. He just has a swag to him, right? When you see Joe Burrow, he's got that swag. But with all that said, there is no way the Rams should lose the Super Bowl. They have the better defense. They have the better quarterback. They have the better wide receivers. The only thing they don't have is maybe special teams, because Evan McPherson with the Bengals is a baller. Like he is a baller. But from everything else, they should win it. Oh yeah, and on top of that, they have the better coach. Oh yeah, and on top of that, they're at home. There is no reason. Oh yeah, and on top of that, they have the best defensive player in the NFL. 0% reason why the Rams should lose this game. So I'm picking the Rams. If they lose, it is a major upset because they are better in basically every form of football. They're better than the the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals should have no shot. This should be a double-digit Super Bowl victory for the Rams.
Wow. I'm gonna say that you're wrong. Although the Bengals have only, with all due respect, and I did catch that Cowboys joke, by the way. I'm gonna text you on the side. But the Bengals, I want to say, have made it. They've defeated all odds. Like, I mean, against all odds, they've made it this far. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say they scored 5 touchdowns in 3 games, just 5, in 3 games. Evan McPherson is the greatest thing since. Man, he's Adam Vinatieri. I mean, like, he's probably. I mean, like, that the kid is clutch. I like his swag too, but Ickey Woods and Boomer Esiason probably the only 2 people in the world that had them making the Super Bowl at the start of the year. And that's it. Nobody else did. So if anybody else says they did, they're lying. But what they've done is Joe Cool has done what he does. They're playing defense without making stupid penalties. And they've made pretty decent quarterbacks look pedestrian. Patrick Mahomes looked like he didn't know what to do after they decided not to take the points in the first half of that game. So what I want to make sure that I put out there is I would love to see Odell Beckham win a Super Bowl. I would love to see Matthew Stafford win the Super Bowl because the people in Detroit, the people in Cleveland, the people in New York will be pissed off. I would also love to see Joe Burrow do it because people just didn't give that kid a chance, man. He's never really had a chance. And he makes every single throw. Jamar Chase is phenomenal. Joe Mixon, I mean, everyone knows what he went through, and for him to be where he's at, this is one of the first Super Bowls where I truly didn't really pick anybody, and I would really be happy if either of those teams won. If either of them won, I'd be happy for several players on that team. Von Miller, for him to win, would be great. I don't know, man. People doubted Odell Beckham, and now Odell's made. They're gonna have issues in Los Angeles thinking about what they're gonna do with Robert Woods and Odell Beckham and Cooper Kupp. Like, how are we gonna keep everybody happy?
Well, can they pay him? I don't think they can pay him.
I don't know that they can pay him. Yeah, you're right. But I think the Bengals win this game by a field goal. It would be It would be the way that this is supposed to be. It's the way that the playoffs have gone.
Upset alert.
Yeah, man. You know what, man? I kind of agree with both of you on this one. I have been doubting the Bengals since they got into the playoffs. Okay, so against the Raiders, I said, okay, y'all might lose this one. They went ahead and beat the Raiders. Against the Titans, I said, okay, this is where it stops. Cinderella, this is it. They beat the Titans, and I'm like, okay, Patrick Mahomes is not about to lose to no Joe Burrow. Patrick Mahomes loses to Joe Burrow. So in this next game, I want to use the same reasons as to why they're not going to beat the Los Angeles Rams as the reason I said they would not beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They have a more experienced quarterback, right? And they just have more experienced players on that team. And the Rams do have a better defense than the Cincinnati Bengals do, although the Bengals defense is legit. The only thing that scares me in this game are the Rams disciplined enough to win this game? That game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really showed me a lot about the Rams. They almost threw that game away, literally. And all I've been seeing from the Cincinnati Bengals on this road to the Super Bowl is straight discipline. Because there's a lot about that Bengals team that is to like as far as how they're being coached and how prepared they are to play. They've had the perfect schemes defensively for every single quarterback they faced. So with that being said, man, I just cannot pick against the Bengals again. I can't do it. As much as I picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl, I picked them to go against the Buffalo Bills, but there's just something about the team. I think Trey is right. I think this is the year of the Bengals. I think that they have proved me wrong. They proved me wrong round after round. But Chris is also right. There's no way the Rams should lose this game. On paper, they are the better team. If this game starts off and the Rams are making dumb, boneheaded mistakes, all that's going to do is give the Bengals confidence. They'll be like, you know what? We can win this. So I think that's what it comes down to. If the game starts off where the Rams are kind of just going for field goals or they're not really going against the Bengals' will, then I will see a situation where Trey is absolutely right. The Bengals win by a field goal or something like that. So it just really depends on how the game starts off.
Well, for me, coming into the playoffs, I picked the Bengals versus the Raiders. I picked the Bengals to beat the Titans, and we talked about in the podcast, I said the Bengals were going to give the Chiefs everything they could handle. So I ain't been sleeping on the Bengals since they made the playoffs. You just look at this matchup, and the problem is there is no answer for Aaron Donald. There's no answer for Von Miller. See, the difference between the Chiefs, the difference between the Titans, and the difference between the Raiders is they didn't have the personnel to rush Joe Burrow with just 4 people, plus have the coverage on the back end. See, the Titans are able to rush 4 people, and they're able to get to Joe Burrow often, but they didn't have the coverage on the back end. It's not like Jamar Chase is going to be running around free willy-nilly. He's got to deal with Jalen Ramsey, right? Or maybe the Rams decide, you know what, we won't put Jalen Ramsey or Jamar Chase. We'll put him on T. Higgins, or we'll put him on Tyler Boyd, or whatever they want to do with their defense. They can take away a player. And potentially CJ Zoma says he's going to play, may not play, may play. It doesn't really matter. The Rams are just so much better. I could not disagree with you guys more, man. And I just want to make this final point about the Rams. When you look at the Rams offensively, the one thing that the Bengals are really able to get away with in the playoffs are teams not finishing drives, teams not scoring. Yeah, the Rams were really giving things away, but they've been scoring in these playoffs. They're giving away points, and they're still scoring. And the Bengals are, I think Trey mentioned that they had 5 touchdowns leading to this. That's not going to do. Now, obviously, they don't need 5 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, but they're going to need a bigger output offensively. And I don't see it, man. And then one last thing about the Bengals, I think their coach is not great. This is one of those Ed Orgeron situations where everything just happens to work out for one season. I am not a fan of Zach Taylor. There's nothing I've seen for him that makes me.
Well, the defensively, that's what we're talking about as far as their schemes.
But that's not his coach.
No, I understand that. I understand that. No, I didn't say anything about him. No, I didn't say anything about it. This is about the scheme defensively. that's been good. But I do want to mention something before you say anything, Trey. The Rams were supposed to blow Tampa Bay Buccaneers out. Like, that was supposed to be the game where they blew them out. And you're making the same point. Like, they should have done that, but it was just costly mistakes and turnovers that kept that game close. They can't do that against the Bengals. I'm telling you right now, that cannot happen.
Listen, the Kansas City Chiefs were up 21-3 against this Bengals team. After they made it 21-10, the Chiefs got cocky and tried to go back up by 21 and failed to do that. And from that point on, Patrick Mahomes threw for 83 yards in the second half. 83 yards from the next coming, the best quarterback in the league, the future, the next Tom Brady, blah, blah, blah. The $500 million kid threw for 83 yards. Now, we're still talking about Matthew Stafford, right? I mean, he's not wearing blue and silver, but he's still Matthew Stafford. And he proved that against the Buccaneers. Eli Apple and the rest of these kids are extremely, extremely excited about playing. They create, I don't know if you guys heard this, he said that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs had a tell on offense, and that tell helped them know what was going on. Either this coaching staff is doing really good, and they figured out what the tell was, but that's what they attributed to that. Joe Burrow's been sacked more than any quarterback in the NFL. So they're going to put pressure on them. But their screen game with P. Ryan and Mixon, remember that. The screen game with P. Ryan and Mixon, and with Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins has been playing amazing, and you're going to have to double Jamar Chase. If Uzomah plays, then that's just butter. So I think this game will be a little bit more high scoring than what we think. Whoever wins the turnover battle will probably win, and that's what I see. I am a little biased. Some kid I used to coach is playing for the Bengals after getting cut by the Seahawks. So I love to see him in the Super Bowl. But I just see the Bengals have been playing discipline. They held Patrick Mahomes at 83 yards. I don't see Stafford being able to put up those points. And Akers, I'm sorry, ain't that dude. Quarterback play, I'd balance them out. Running back play, I give that to the Bengals. A defensive line, I give that to the Rams. But the secondary, the way they've been playing this postseason, they had Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman yelling at Tyreek Hill. I don't know if y'all saw him. He's like, "Come get me." On third down, bro. He had Tyreek Hill so frustrated he pulled himself out the game. Man, I mean, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and if you look at that game, it was really because of the offense that the Chiefs were running. You can't, the way they were playing defense, you literally cannot play Matthew Stafford and the Rams that way because of Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, if you do that to Cooper Kupp and try to play that defense, Cooper Kupp is going to have 20 catches, 355 yards, 4 touchdowns. It'll be the greatest game in the history of the NFL. They cannot play that way against the Rams. And the other problem is Odell Beckham Jr. We already talked about him. You just can't play the Rams that way. I'm not saying that the Rams are the better offense, but the way Sean McVay runs those two wide receivers and the way he gets guys open, y'all can call me crazy. I think this is going to be a boring Super Bowl. It's going to be the first boring Super Bowl we've had in a while.
No, I don't see that. If they rush 4, if they play the same Tampa 2 defense that they played against Mahomes and they rush 4, Cooper Kupp's not as fast as Tyreek Hill. Higbee is not Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, to me and Odell,
he doesn't need to be fast. He just needs to get inside, get to the middle of the field.
But they didn't do anything, is what I'm saying, against the Bengals. They held them to 83 yards. So Travis Kelce worked in the middle of the field. Patrick Mahomes could not find an open receiver in the middle of the field in the second half. So I think that's going to be, the key. I think they're going to rush 4. Stafford's not going to get out of the pocket like Mahomes, and he's going to be forced to make some bad throws. And we've seen that movie before. So I just think they're going to the blueprint that they put up against the Chiefs. I think they'll run something very, very similar with a few more blitzes. When they started blitzing Mahomes off the edge, I think that put a little bit of pressure on him, and they can do that more with Stafford. So they may send 5 at him at some points in time, but I think the Bengals win this one going away, man.
Okay, I will say this: you just said they're going to win by a field goal, bro. Now they winning going away.
Okay, you got me more excited now.
Okay, I will say this though. I do believe that. Watch out for Sony Michel, Cam Akers. One of them is going to have a big game. When I say big game, I don't mean 100+ yards. I believe 80+ yards, 40 yards receiving. Because you're right. If they're going to play 3 guys, 3 down linemen, and try to play coverage, McVay's going to run the ball. Andy Reid is stubborn. He's stubborn as a mule. Like, Sean McVay will run the ball when he sees that.
Yeah, man, I think you both make very, very good points. It could go one way or the other. It really just depends, for me, how the game starts off. I would like to see Matthew Stafford win one all those years in Detroit, in the dungeon, finally get him a championship and be put in there with those elite quarterbacks. And then, you have Joe Burrow. And nothing's guaranteed. There's been a lot of quarterbacks that have gone to the Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl, and they haven't been back since. So I would like to see him get one as well. I'm still going to go with the Bengals in this one, in a close one. It would be only the right way to end these playoffs. Probably the greatest playoff I've ever seen in my life as far as all these games. Very, very good games, very entertaining games. Why not have the Super Bowl be the cherry on the top and let it be an exciting game? Bengals win, last seconds, field goal. Let's just call it that.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what's so funny? You say that. I think this NFL season the season in general, to me, was one of the best that we've seen. It's been very, very competitive. And I could not have an NFL segment without talking about America's team. And did you know that the
Patriots did have a good year? I agree.
Out of the 10 most the 10 most watched games, the Cowboys are in 5 of those games this season. And some of them are some of the highest rated TV shows in the history of TV. And that's just crazy to me, man. The NFL is back. I hope they continue to build off this momentum that they're gaining. But they have literally separated. With baseball talking about a lockout, basketball, who knows what's going on with basketball. The parity in basketball is crazy. The NFL has really set itself apart from everybody else. And, I think they're only going to build off this Super Bowl, man. It's going to be.
Do you remember when people were saying the NFL was in trouble?
Can I ask Trey a question?
No.
Well, you remember when they were saying the NFL was in trouble as far as like the ratings dipping and all that stuff? That's been squashed. That's demolished. After this playoff run, because if you didn't watch football, Smo was telling you about football. Did you see that game? No, man, what happened? It was the greatest game ever. Oh, man, I should have watched. It doesn't matter what happened.
Bro, that happened. That literally happened 4 weeks in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
The last game of the season with the Raiders and the Chargers, to the next week with the Cowboys, to the next week with the Chiefs. It
was
football.
But must-see TV, really and truly. I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris, but it was must-see TV, especially in the divisional round. All the games came down to a last-second field goal. It was fantastic. Let's just finish it off with a marvelous Super Bowl and let it continue to ride. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so I know we're about to close out the podcast. I really do want to get this in because, we got Trey here. I got to ask him a question. I'm not even going to argue with you. I just want your opinion as a Cowboy fan, and I'm good. Are you still a believer in Dak Prescott getting y'all to the Super Bowl? I know. Don't talk about the coaching. Don't talk about anybody else. Are you a believer in Dak Prescott? That's all I want to know.
That's my quarterback. Yeah, I am. I truly am. I really do think that. That was terrible. We've been out coached pretty bad. But I think we're all right. We'll be all right. I think Zeke's going to get better. Our offensive line was not healthy and atrocious coming down the stretch. But I think we're going to be all right. I promise you we're going to be all right. And in the words of Kendrick Lamar, who is also performing at halftime, I'm more excited about the halftime than the game.
Yes, sir.
The halftime show is going to be... there's going to be a lot of people who don't know what's going on, but that halftime show is going to be one for the ages. I can't wait.
Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and Snoop Dogg. Man, that is one of the only Super Bowl halftimes I've ever really looked forward to. I can't wait for that. I really can't.
I think they gotta figure out a way to bring Ice Cube out. I don't know how you could do it in his backyard and not have him be a part of it. So I'm expecting for them somehow, some way, to make Ice Cube a part of this somewhere. So you heard it here first. I haven't heard anything, but they gotta figure out a way to bring him out. They got to.
Man, that would be dope. That would be dope. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the New Channel Sports Podcast. You were on with the one and only Onyenyi, the phenomenal one, Chris, and the man we all love to hate, Trey Day, was on today as well. It was an honor, and it was just very, very good to have you back on, Trey. I look forward to more podcasts with you, sir. So, if this is your first time listening to this podcast, please do not hesitate to subscribe. You can do that on Apple Podcasts. You can do it on Podbean or anywhere you get your podcasts. Please check us out. We are also on Afro Vibes TV as well. Download that Roku app so you can see our handsome faces there also. We are also on the Leads podcast as well. Chris has been holding it down there. Check us out there also. And, go to our website, newchannelsports.net, if you want to subscribe there as well. And, Chris got some wonderful articles there also. And it's been a pleasure. You got anything else to say before we roll out?
Man, thank y'all for having me back on again. I hope to get a chance to do this a little bit more. Laker Nation, we're going to get it together, but it's time for them Braves to come back and repeat, stomp on the Masters. Can't wait.
Wow.
Oh, man. I guess we're going to have to close it out there, bro. We're going to have to close it out there.
Thanks for listening to the New Channel Sports Podcast. If you like the show, feel free to leave a comment and a 5-star rating. Your support is very much appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, or on our website, newchannelsports.net. That's New Channel spelt N-U, channelsports.net. Got a sports-related question for the crew? Just leave a voicemail on our website. Till next time, have a good one and stay safe out there.